Teresita Blanco de Sister, and today we're reading Saturnastra Nalini. This is chapter 7, part 2. I saw Nalini standing before me, and her spirit body looked like her physical body, and reflected in her eyes I saw a pale-faced girl about 6 or 7 years of age, and she looked like the me who had taken over Nalini, and for a long time, I turned a blind eye to everything, and I thought that things would be easy. You were brave enough to do the things I wasn't able to do. Tell me, child, what are you? What are you really? She asked. I am the elf Nalini. That is the name and the identity I chosen for myself, I responded. You can't be Nalini. I am Nalini, she said. You were Nalini before you gave me this body. What do you think would happen had we never crossed paths? I asked. Nalini lowered her eyes. She knew in her heart her own weakness, but she said, I don't care. I would have had Grimiere. You fool, you are assuming that he would have been able to resurrect you. Weakness and you do not have the right to desire things. Only the strong have the power to take what they want and do whatever they feel like. If you want your hobby so badly, then come and take this body away from me, I said, challenging her willpower. Nalini was distraught by the failure of her emotional sabotage, and she had grown quite crusty due to the pollutions from my soul and my memory fragments. And slowly Nalini was becoming more like me, and I was becoming more like her. And this was something that I had not foreseen. Tapping into my memory fragments, she called for my flute, and the shell imitated my music, and she did not realize that the flute and the song all were simply gimmicks that distracted the victims from the real trick. And deciding to humor her, I left her body on my own accord, and as I departed, I said, I would leave my lovely flute as a memento, and know that I would always be watching should you need me again. Again, we were finally two different peoples, and Nalini had regained her 18-year-old body, although I wondered what was the true age of her soul. Her mature beauty looked radiant, and I wanted to be her more than anything else. As for my true self, it had not matured one bit since I had entered her body. In a nonchalant fashion, I flew outside the curtain and reclaimed my old robes. Now fully dressed, I perched on the highest stained glass window, and my tiny shadow loomed ominously over the entire assembly. And I had flown so fast that it took a few minutes for Grimiere to notice that his cape was missing. And when he did notice, he looked as if he had been struck by lightning, and his eyes widened like those of a madman as he scanned the entire audience hall looking for the robes. One of the priests asked Grimiere, what's the matter? Have you seen my white cape? He asked frantically. Now that you mention it, I blinked once and then it was gone, said another priest. By now the entire assembly hall was looking high and low for Grimiere's cape, and during that commotion, Nalini slipped among the crowd, and she made her way towards her artificer. And he felt a gentle tug at the end of his rope, and turning around, he saw the real Nalini. In a shy voice, she said, I have returned. Forgetting the decorum, Grimiere hugged and kissed Nalini, and she too returned his loving embrace, and it was a romantic reunion with a bit of annoyance. And Grimiere pushed her back to have a better look at her. He saw that indeed 2 years had passed. With a trembling voice, he asked, where were you? What happened to you? I have been held captive by a manipulative little demon, and she made me do many horrible things against my will, she said in a most pitiful tones, with tears rolling down her cheek. Again, the way she twisted the facts made me angry.
She didn't twist the facts at all.
Yeah, but the narrator's Nalini. She said, Grimiere asked, where is that demon? I know not. The cape you wore, it belonged to her, and when she left my body, I saw your cape disappear as well, she said, a bit distraught, lowering her gaze. And when she did, she noticed beside her the shadow that was casting over her. And when she looked out the stained glass window, she saw me looking down at her, and her eyes opened wide as she pointed at me, and Grimiere looked in the direction that she was pointing, and suddenly everyone in the assembly was looking at me. Someone in the audience yelled, it's the fairy witch. Another yell is that demon. Grimiere yelled, call the guards. Where's Odani? Find him quick. 2 of his priests ran as fast as lightning to carry his command, and an uneasy Vaikus light in the meantime, everyone in the audience had stared at me. They had the look of a deer who was about to get run over by a car, and many seemed reluctant to leave, fearing that the departure would rouse my anger. And I was really annoyed, mind you, and Nalini's lack of indiscretion had triggered all of these commotions. And maybe I would have left had she not made everyone aware of my presence. Time, bro?
10 minutes.
And, considering all the strange events that had occurred as of late, no one in the audience had doubted her, and the silence was broken by the entrance of one of the princes, and he whispered to Grimiere, "Something is wrong with Nalini, and he refuses to wake up, though he has no physical injury." This news greatly perturbed Grimiere, and after hearing this, the second prince entered, followed by the palace guard, and by now the elves had entered the assembly hall, and they were all pointing at me with their feeble arrows and half-baked magical stabs, and facing such a large audience made my theatrical blood boil, and I waited anxiously to play my part of the villain. In a furious tone, Grimiere asked, well, more like he demanded of me, "Answer me, human demon of witch, who are you?" Speaking into the mic, I yelled, "Lay down your weapons. I come in peace. My name is Nalini, the Pied Piper, third child of the one you call the lightning, and I came here to save the world, or so I've been told." As it happened, whenever a demon revealed their name, Grimiere started exorcising me, and much to his annoyance, the exorcism ritual with the chants and all of the bad music didn't work on me. Sneering, I said, "Didn't I tell you that I wasn't a demon?" Glancing back at Nalini, I yelled at her, "Even though I am gone, I somehow remain. Know that I would always be watching over you, Nalini, and for now I say goodbye. For those who have the desire of self-determination and true freedom, you may find me in the sacred groves of Nemorensis." A huge fear ran across the crowd, and though they desired freedom, most feared leaving the forest. Others did not have any desire to follow after me, since they equated freedom with the chaos that I brought with me. And those that seemed more eager to depart were held back by the rumors of King Bersamek being on the prowl. And for what I could gather, Bersamek was waging war again. And about a year ago, he had completely destroyed their sister city, and many of those elves had migrated to this forest, and the mere thought of running into the berserkers chilled their blood to ice. And after all, what freedom worth to those who are dead? Time, bro?
7 minutes.
Indeed, I had chosen a faraway location to test their resolve. If they were truly committed to the journey, then they would be worthy of calling themselves the disciples of the Pied Piper. After I
Wait,
felt...
now she has disciples? She's full of it.
She's full of it. She's full of herself. She's just full of it. Well, that's why it's told in first person. People think in first person. After I felt they had finished digesting the information, I flew out of the window, and I flew so fast that it seemed as if I had disappeared, leaving behind several after images that lasted a few seconds. And as it always happened, the after images erosion made the stained glass window crack, and the crystalline shards fell over the elves, leaving a couple badly injured, and my grand essay shadowed the determination of those who wanted to abandon Grimiere. I was too chaotic for them to trust me as any type of leader. Still, I was yet to lose hope. In no time, whispers of this incredible event would seep into the rest of the population, and worst comes to worst, I had planned to make them spread the rumors themselves, and frankly, it would be so much easier to convince them to join me. However, a mind control victory would lack any merit, and plus my pride and my confidence in my diplomacy prevented me from using my mind control powers to force them to think and feel as I desire. After flying over the whole city, I landed in my neck of the woods, before Harmony's Lake, and for a few minutes I took time to meditate while looking at my own reflection in the water, and the fairy creatures felt my overpowering presence spreading over the forest, and they recognized that I was finally myself again, and wearing my old robes I stood before the lake, and for all my found powers and strength, I had not matured one bit. Our kind only grows as they mature, and the fact that I had not grown meant I was still the same brat as before. Sighing, I thought of Nalini, and at this moment Grimiere was escorting her to her new room within the palace. Both said nothing to one another as they walked, and Grimiere was only concerned with Nalini's well-being. He kept observing her face and mannerisms, looking for any hints of possession. As for Nalini, she simply wanted to drop dead for a while, and from time to time she thought of Nemorensis, and she wondered why I had chosen such an out-of-the-way location. The only memory fragments she had to work with were those her body had experienced, and they did not include the telepathy or any sensitive information. Heck, even many of the events of the past were blurred, and she remembered vaguely talking to some demon for what seemed like years, and she remembered clearly the song of Magus. Skill-wise, she could still materialize my flute out of thin air. And she had even learned a little bit of mind control. Just enough to get her started. Time, bro?
4 minutes, 10 seconds.
If I remember correctly, Karini too had tried to use my mind control, and much to her annoyance, Karini realized that the flute of the sun had nothing to do with my telepathy. Then again, my Song of Madness simply was an inhibitor. A folk song I had learned from Pan, and it really did not take over people's minds per se. That was a simple task, with or without my flute. In my true form, not even magic users could escape my influence, or so I fancy. Back then, I was truly quite the arrogant child. Well, enough of overemphasis on my awesomeness. You must really think I'm a narcissist. Anyhow, while watching my own reflection, I spied on Nalini, and seeing as though nothing relevant would occur, I shifted my attention back to my friends who surrounded me, and they could sense my desire to embark on an epic journey, and we truly had spent far too long in the Forsaken Forest, and had money to have a desire to leave. Rising out of the water, she said, "Goodbye, Nalini." "What's with the goodbye? You're coming too," I snapped, pointing to a random spot in the forest. She surprised, she said, "I am?" "Yes, you are," I said, smiling. Shaking her head, she said, "No. And yes, I said in response. "But I can't leave the lake. I am bounded to it," she said. "Relax, I will take my entire dominion, trees and all, with me. You won't even feel the move." I said, making mental notes of how big chunks of the forest I could take. And just to be safe, I held my hands to the sky, and making a lot of arm motions and jumping acrobatics, I generated a shield around my dominion. And the contortions and the singing were more for show than anything else. she was just putting on a show for those watching. Time, bro?
2 minutes, 10 seconds.
As the shield expanded, it pushed out of its border anyone who did not want to go away with me. And luckily, since Nalini had disappeared, most of the elves avoided that portion of the forest, and my shield had a transparent milky texture, kind of like how soap bubbles look, and my friends looked at the shield mesmerized, and I thought on what I wanted to take, and I said to my fairy friends, "Put within the shield everything you wish to take on your journey. Also see if you can gather all the animals inside. The elves sure as hell won't miss them, seeing as though they are inferior beings." I sat in the center of the lake and waited, and after a week's work, all of the forest animals and even the beasts and earthworms have been relocated within my shield.
Why is she making an arc?
She's just taking their forest.
Not
making an arc, you're taking, don't take the forest and everything in it.
Just making an arc. Okay, go on.
The fairies have much influence over the forest, and the sun served as a lure, and the fairies wondered much on how I would relocate an entire portion of the forest. They had heard of wizards' teleportation techniques, however, they had never heard of someone teleporting a large piece of land. Time, bro?
Less than a minute.
Alright, we'll leave it here. Bye-bye, God bless.